Are you waking up already tired, shuffling to the bathroom 3 or 4 times a night, wondering why your urine flow feels weaker every year? Most men assume this is just normal aging, but it isn't. I'm Dr. Rachel Ross, a board-certified urologist, and for decades I've helped men protect their prostate, their energy, and their dignity. One daily habit most men ignore quietly inflames the prostate, and today I'll show you how to protect it naturally. Tell me where you're watching from, and if this helps you, like and subscribe so I can reach more men like you. But here's what most people don't realize. Most prostate problems don't actually begin in the prostate itself. They begin quietly upstream in the bloodstream long before you ever feel a symptom. I see this every single week in my clinic. Men come in worried about weak flow, pressure, frequent urination, or waking up all night, and their PSA looks normal. They're told everything is fine. Yet their symptoms keep getting worse. What's often happening beneath the surface is something far more subtle and far more powerful. Chronic low-grade inflammation. As we age past 60, the body changes how it handles stress, food, sleep, and recovery. Inflammation becomes easier to trigger and harder to shut off. You don't feel it the way you would a swollen ankle or sore shoulder. There's no pain alarm, no warning signal. It's more like a slow internal smolder, just enough heat to irritate sensitive tissues over time. And the prostate is one of the most inflammation-sensitive organs in the male body. The prostate sits at a crossroads of circulation, hormones, and immune activity. That makes it useful when you're younger, but vulnerable as you age. When inflammatory chemicals circulate through the blood day after day, the prostate tissue responds by swelling slightly. Not all at once, not dramatically, just enough to narrow the urinary channel millimeter by millimeter. Over months and years, that swelling adds up. Flow weakens, urgency increases, nighttime trips multiply. What frustrates many men is that no one explains this connection. You're told it's just enlargement or just age. But aging itself isn't the cause. Inflammation is. Aging simply makes your body less forgiving of the same habits you tolerated at 40. One of the biggest drivers I see is insulin resistance. As the body becomes less responsive to insulin, blood sugar stays elevated longer after meals. That excess sugar acts like fuel for inflammation. Add in processed foods, refined carbohydrates, seed oils, and frequent alcohol, and you create an internal environment that keeps the immune system switched halfway on all the time. Not enough to make you sick, but enough to irritate organs like the prostate continuously. Alcohol plays a particularly quiet role. Many men don't drink heavily, but they drink regularly. Evening drinks may feel relaxing, but alcohol increases inflammatory signaling, disrupts sleep hormones, and concentrates urine overnight, all of which irritate prostate tissue. The prostate doesn't forget what you did the night before. This is where medications alone often fall short. Alpha blockers can relax muscle tension. Anti-inflammatories can temporarily reduce swelling, but they don't remove the inflammatory source. They're like mopping water off the floor while the faucet is still running. Until inflammation is addressed systemically, symptoms tend to creep back. The good news, and this is important, is that inflammation responds quickly when you give the body the right signals. I've watched men notice improvements in urgency, pressure, and nighttime urination within weeks once inflammation begins to calm. One of the simplest daily habits starts first thing in the morning. Hydration. Overnight, your blood becomes more concentrated. Inflammatory compounds are thicker. Drinking water early helps dilute those signals and improves circulation to pelvic tissues. It's not about chugging gallons. It's about consistency. A glass or two in the morning before caffeine can make a measurable difference over time. Omega-rich foods are another quiet protector. Healthy fats found in fish, olive oil, walnuts, and seeds help shift the body away from inflammatory chemistry. Many men think supplements are required, but food works remarkably well when eaten regularly. Think support, not perfection. Evening sugar reduction may be the most overlooked habit of all. Desserts, sweet snacks, or sugary drinks late at night spike insulin at the worst possible time, right when the prostate is trying to rest. Lowering nighttime sugar reduces inflammatory signaling during sleep when repair is supposed to occur. What matters most is not doing everything perfectly. It's repeating small, anti-inflammatory signals daily. Your body doesn't need extreme diets. It needs clarity. When inflammation decreases, prostate tissue often softens, pressure eases, and urinary flow improves naturally. I've had countless men tell me, "No one ever explained it this way." And that quiet relief, simply understanding what's happening, already lowers stress. which itself reduces inflammation. But inflammation isn't the biggest prostate trigger I see in men over 60. The next habit affects your hormones directly, and almost no one talks about it. But here's what most people don't realize. Testosterone isn't just about sex drive or muscle. In fact, one of its most important roles after 60 is protecting the prostate itself. I often meet men who are shocked when I tell them this because for decades they've been warned that testosterone is dangerous, that it feeds prostate growth, that it should be avoided. But that belief is outdated and in many cases, it's doing more harm than good. The truth is this: it's not testosterone that creates prostate problems, it's hormonal imbalance. When testosterone falls too low, another hormone quietly rises to take its place, estrogen. And in the male body, excess estrogen is far more likely to irritate prostate tissue than healthy testosterone ever was. Estrogen promotes inflammation, fluid retention, and tissue swelling. Over time, this imbalance can contribute directly to prostate enlargement and urinary symptoms. After age 60, testosterone decline accelerates for several reasons. The testes produce less. The brain sends weaker signals. Sleep quality declines, muscle mass decreases, and chronic inflammation, the very thing we discussed earlier, actively suppresses testosterone production. It becomes a loop. Low testosterone increases inflammation, and inflammation further lowers testosterone. This is why many men notice more than just urinary changes. They feel weaker, slower, less driven. Confidence fades, motivation drops not dramatically, just enough to make life feel heavier. Many assume it's aging, but biologically, much of it is hormonal signaling drifting out of balance. I want to reassure you about something important. Supporting testosterone at this stage of life is not about bodybuilding, injections, or chasing youth. It's about restoring stability. The prostate thrives when hormones are steady, predictable, and balanced, not swinging wildly or falling too low. One of the most powerful tools is resistance movement, and that doesn't mean lifting heavy weights or training like a 30-year-old. Simple muscle engagement, body weight exercises, light dumbbells, resistance bands sends a signal to the brain that testosterone is still needed. Muscle tissue communicates directly with hormonal centers. When muscles go unused, testosterone production fades faster. Morning sunlight is another surprisingly potent signal. Exposure to natural light early in the day helps regulate circadian rhythm, which governs testosterone release. Men who miss morning light often produce less testosterone overall, regardless of age. Even 10 to 15 minutes outside can make a meaningful difference over time. Sleep timing matters just as much as sleep length. Testosterone is released primarily during deep sleep, especially in the first half of the night. Late nights, inconsistent bedtimes, or falling asleep in front of the television fragment. This process, many men sleep for 7 hours, but produce very little restorative hormone because timing is off. What often holds men back is fear. Fear of hormone therapy, fear of cancer, fear of making things worse. I understand that fear, I hear it every day. But natural hormone support through lifestyle does not force the body. It reminds the body how to function. The actionable habit I encourage most is simple daily muscle activation. 10 to 20 minutes of resistance-based movement. Not cardio, not exhaustion, just activation. It tells your nervous system this body is still in use. That signal protects testosterone levels, stabilizes estrogen, and reduces prostate irritation over time. When testosterone is balanced, prostate tissue behaves differently. Inflammation decreases, muscle tone improves around the bladder neck, urinary flow becomes stronger and more controlled. Many men notice fewer nighttime trips and improved confidence simply because their internal chemistry stabilizes. And perhaps most importantly, they feel like themselves again. But even with perfect hormones, I see one nightly behavior undo everything. And it happens while you're asleep. But here's what most people don't realize. Waking up at night to urinate is not always a bladder problem. In many men, it's not even a prostate problem at first. It's a sleep hormone problem. I can't tell you how many men sit across from me exhausted, convinced their prostate is failing when the real issue begins in the brain during sleep. Your body relies on a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, to reduce urine production at night. When sleep is deep and continuous, ADH rises naturally, telling the kidneys to slow urine output so your bladder can rest. That's how you're supposed to sleep 6 to 8 hours without waking. But when sleep becomes fragmented, even slightly, ADH release drops. The kidneys keep producing urine as if it's daytime. This is why many men wake up 3, 4, even 5 times a night, not because the bladder is full, but because the body never received the hormonal signal to stop making urine. Fragmented sleep is incredibly common after 60. Light sleep replaces deep sleep. You wake more easily. Noise, discomfort, stress, or temperature changes pull you out of restorative cycles. Each awakening disrupts ADH release further. Over time, nighttime urination becomes routine. Late eating plays a major role. Heavy or sugary meals close to bedtime keep insulin elevated and prevent deep sleep. Alcohol may make you drowsy, but it fragments sleep architecture, suppresses ADH, and increases urine production. Screens are another powerful disruptor. Blue light delays melatonin release, shifting your entire sleep rhythm later while weakening hormone depth. When sleep deprivation continues, inflammation rises, cortisol increases, testosterone drops, prostate tissue becomes more sensitive, urgency increases, the bladder becomes overreactive. This creates a cycle where poor sleep worsens prostate irritation and prostate symptoms further disrupt sleep. The emotional toll is heavy. Men tell me they plan their days around bathrooms. They avoid long drives. They fear travel. They wake up tired before the day even begins. That exhaustion erodes mood, focus, and confidence. And many begin to believe nothing can fix it. But here's the encouraging part. Sleep responds quickly when adjusted gently. One realistic nightly habit I recommend is establishing a firm digestive cutoff. Finish your last substantial meal at least 3 hours before bed. This allows insulin and digestive activity to settle before sleep begins. When digestion quiets, sleep hormones rise more fully. That alone can reduce nighttime urination within weeks. Pair that with limiting fluids 1 to 2 hours before bed. Not dehydration, just moderation. And you reduce overnight bladder volume without stressing the kidneys. Consistency matters more than perfection. You don't need elaborate routines or supplements. Your brain thrives on rhythm. When bedtime meals and light exposure stabilize, hormone release improves naturally. Many men are stunned when their nighttime bathroom trips drop from 4 to 2 or 2 to 1 simply from improving sleep quality. Not because the prostate magically shrank, but because the hormonal environment stopped irritating it overnight. Better sleep reduces inflammation. It stabilizes testosterone. It calms bladder sensitivity. And suddenly, symptoms that felt permanent begin to loosen their grip. Now here's the habit that shocks most men. It's not about what you eat or drink. It's about how long you sit. But here's what most people don't realize. The prostate is not just a gland. It's living tissue that depends on healthy blood flow every single day. And after age 60, circulation often becomes a bigger problem than aging itself. In fact, prolonged sitting restricts pelvic blood flow more aggressively than time ever could. The prostate sits deep in the pelvis, surrounded by muscles, nerves, and veins that rely on movement to circulate blood properly. When you sit for long periods, especially in soft, chairs or recliners, pressure builds directly beneath the prostate region. Veins compress, oxygen delivery drops, waste products accumulate. This creates what we call pelvic congestion, a slow, persistent pooling of blood and fluid that leads to swelling and irritation. Pelvic congestion doesn't cause sharp pain. It creates pressure, fullness, urgency, that familiar sensation of needing to go even when the bladder isn't full. Over time, congested tissue becomes more sensitive to inflammation and hormonal shifts, which magnifies every prostate symptom. Many men notice their urinary symptoms worsen after long drives, extended television time, or sitting at the computer. That's not coincidence. When circulation stalls, the prostate becomes irritated mechanically, not chemically. This issue often intensifies after retirement. Daily movement patterns change, commutes disappear, structured activity fades, sitting hours quietly double or triple without men realizing it. At the same time, confidence in mobility declines. Knees ache. Balance feels uncertain. Movement begins to feel risky rather than restorative. I hear men say, "I don't exercise anymore. I'm afraid I'll hurt myself." That fear is understandable, but restoring circulation doesn't require exercise in the traditional sense. The prostate doesn't need intensity. It needs motion. Walking is one of the most powerful circulation tools available. It activates the pelvic pump muscles that help move blood and lymphatic fluid out of the prostate region. Even 10 minutes at a comfortable pace can improve blood flow measurably. It's not about speed, it's about rhythm. Standing breaks are equally important. Simply standing up every 30 to 45 minutes releases pelvic compression. It allows blood to re-enter tissues that have been starved of oxygen. Many men underestimate how powerful this is. The body was never designed to remain seated for hours at a Time. Pelvic mobility movements, gentle hip rotations, slow leg swings, or light stretching further open circulation channels. These are small motions, but they signal the nervous system to relax pelvic tension. When muscles soften, circulation improves. I've watched men in their 70s experience noticeable symptom relief simply by changing how often they move during the day. Urgency decreases, pressure eases, flow becomes more consistent, not overnight, but steadily. The most important reassurance I can give you is this: it is never too late. Circulation responds at any age. Blood vessels adapt quickly when movement returns. Even decades of sitting do not permanently damage the system. One simple habit I recommend is a daily pelvic reset. Every hour you're awake, stand, walk, or gently move for 2 to 3 minutes. Set a timer if needed. Those small interruptions prevent congestion from building. Over time, the prostate becomes less irritated because pressure never accumulates long enough to cause swelling. Men are often surprised that such a simple habit can have a meaningful effect, but biology responds to consistency, not complexity. And finally, there's one habit that protects the prostate more than supplements, more than medication, and it starts with awareness. But here's what I want you to hear now, and I want you to hear it clearly. The fear you've been carrying quietly is understandable. Most men never talk about prostate problems. They endure the symptoms in silence, the nighttime trips, the loss of control, the worry that something serious is coming. Many men sit alone with that fear, wondering if their body is slowly failing them. I want you to know this: prostate changes after 60 are common. But they are not a sentence to decline. They are signals, and signals can be answered. I've watched men in their late 60s and 70s walk into my office exhausted, discouraged, even embarrassed, and months later tell me they're sleeping through the night again. Not because we chase perfection, not because we used extreme treatments, but because their bodies finally received the right signals. Aging is not the body breaking down. Aging is the body requiring different input. What worked at 40 no longer works at 60, not because you're weaker, but because your physiology has changed. Once you adapt your habits to match that change, the body responds remarkably well. You are not broken, you are not weak, and you are absolutely not too late. The male body retains an incredible capacity for repair when inflammation calms, hormones stabilize, sleep deepens, and circulation improves. These systems talk to one another. When one improves, the others follow. I tell my patients this often: consistency beats intensity. You don't need extreme diets, you don't need punishing workouts, you don't need fear-based urgency. What you need is repetition of the right signals day after day, allowing your biology to recalibrate. There is dignity in caring for your health, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for the life you've built, for the family that depends on you, for the years ahead that still deserve to be lived with strength and clarity. When you take care of your prostate, you're not just protecting an organ. You're protecting your sleep, your confidence, your energy, your independence. These habits aren't quick fixes. They're daily acts of self-respect, small decisions that say, my health matters. And men deserve guidance that understands their bodies, their fears, and their goals. Guidance designed specifically for this stage of life. But here's what I want you to hear now, and I want you to hear it clearly. The fear you've been carrying quietly is real, and it's more common than you think. Most men never talk about prostate problems. They don't mention the interrupted sleep, the urgency, the embarrassment, or the worry that something serious might be forming beneath the surface. Instead, they carry it alone. And over time, that silence can feel heavier than the symptoms themselves. I want you to know this. Prostate changes after 60 are common, but they are not a life sentence. They are not proof that your body is failing you. They are signals, and signals can be answered. I've watched men in their 70s walk into my office convinced it was too late. Men who hadn't slept through the night in years. Men who had quietly accepted discomfort as their new normal. And I've seen those same men regain control, not through drastic measures, but through understanding how their body now works. Aging is not decline. Aging is adaptation. The body you have today simply plays by different rules than the body you had at 40. When you learn those rules, when you respond instead of resist, the body responds back. You are not broken, you are not weak, and you are not too late. The male body retains a remarkable ability to restore balance. When inflammation settles, prostate tissue softens. When hormones stabilize, confidence returns. When sleep deepens, healing accelerates. When circulation improves, pressure eases. These systems are connected, and when one improves, the others often follow. I tell my patients something simple but powerful. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need extreme diets. You don't need exhausting workouts. You don't need fear-driven urgency. What your body responds to is repetition, calm, steady signals delivered day after day. There is dignity in taking care of your health, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for the life you've built, for the people who rely on you, for the years ahead that still deserve clarity, strength, and independence. When you protect your prostate, you're protecting much more than an organ. You're protecting your sleep, your energy, your confidence, your freedom. These habits aren't quick fixes. They are daily acts of self-respect. And men deserve guidance designed specifically for this season of life. Guidance that meets you where you are and helps you move forward with confidence. If you found this valuable, I invite you to join our community by subscribing so you never miss guidance created specifically for men like you. Men over 50 deserve clear, honest information about their health. You shouldn't have to guess what's normal, what's reversible, or what truly matters at this stage of life. This channel exists for one reason: education over fear, prevention over crisis, strength through knowledge. My goal is to help you understand your body so you can make calm, confident decisions, not rushed ones driven by anxiety or misinformation. When men understand what's happening beneath the surface, something powerful shifts. Confidence returns. Energy improves, sleep deepens. That constant feeling of being at the mercy of your body begins to fade, replaced by a sense of control. And that open loop we started with, the overlooked solution most men never hear about, isn't a miracle pill or a single treatment. It's the power of daily habits compounding over time. 5 protective signals repeated consistently can calm inflammation, balance hormones, restore sleep, improve circulation, and support the prostate naturally. Nothing extreme, nothing complicated, just alignment with how the male body actually works after 60. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be informed. If this video helped you, stay with us. This community is built for men who want to age with strength, clarity, and dignity. Men who refuse to accept discomfort as inevitable. You deserve confidence. You deserve energy. You deserve deep restorative sleep. Take care of your health because you are worth